All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first official TBLOOM Talk Show located in our new official headquarters in Loveland, Colorado. Not to say that these are our only headquarters. We still got the ones back in Washington, but we just opened up here in Loveland. So give yourself a round of applause, my TBLOOManites. We're expanding, we're getting bigger, we're getting better, and we're doing it all for you. Today, I will be going over all of the Sunday action coming in this weekend for NFL football, covering what happened last night in last night's shit show of a game on Thursday night, the Denver Broncos versus the Indianapolis Colts, and of course, much, much more. We got a lot to get into, so let's get into it right now. What the hell did we just see last night? What did we just watch last night? The Denver Broncos organization may have just had their biggest collapse that I could ever remember. Like I said, I'm in Loveland, Colorado right now, just about an hour away from Denver, and I can just feel the vibes. Guys, you can feel the vibes in the air of just the uncertainty, the mistakes they may have felt when they gave Russell Wilson that big contract. I mean, growing up in Washington, trust me, I know what Russell Wilson is. I know the goods, I know the highs, I know the lows. I don't think I've ever seen him this low. Missing passes, just ungodly mistakes making in the fourth quarter. He threw a pick with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had the ball. All they had to do was run it out, maybe kick a field goal, go up by 6 points. Matt Ryan's not coming back and doing anything off of that. And then just to miss a wide open guy in overtime on 4th and 1 where he could have just walked into the end zone. I've never seen him this bad. And the Denver Broncos fans, they're not as, kind of tough to say, they're not as patient as Seahawks fans. If you guys watched that game last night, that game went into overtime. Denver Broncos fans were leaving the stadium. Honey, grab the kids, grab the popcorn, get this juice, get the snacks. We got to go. I don't want to watch this. No more. No more. That says a lot. That says a lot. If you're a fan of a team, your team goes into overtime. I mean, sure, it could be a school night. Maybe you need to get the kids in bed. But there were grown adults leaving there because they didn't want to see anymore. It's unreal. The Indianapolis Colts are now, I believe, 2-1. And they look like shit. Right? They don't look good. They don't look like they deserve to win one game. And in one of those games, they beat the Chiefs. How? How did one of the games they beat the Chiefs, yet they keep coming out and laying duds on all these teams against the Broncos? They tied with the Texans. But then the Chiefs lose to them. Weird. Odd. Not much I can say on that. I don't know why. But, I mean, I guess this is how close the NFL gap has come. Maybe the teams are a lot closer than their records show. I don't know. But, I mean, Indianapolis did not look like a team that is even worthy of making the playoffs yet. They sit at 2-1 while you got teams like the, Pittsburgh Steelers who are 1-3. And I think we look better than the Indianapolis Colts. Sorry. Hey, sue me. Maybe I'm biased. Sue me. I think we look better than the Indianapolis Colts. Who knows? But, man, I have never in my whole life seen a team's fan base walk out of the stadium as soon as it heads to overtime. Never seen it in my life. Broncos fans, let's ride, I guess. I mean, the road isn't going to be all smooth sailing. There's going to be some speed bumps, and there's a lot of speed bumps to start off your season. And they even sit at 2-2. I mean, these teams look trash, and they're sitting there at 500. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's start off going over these games, all these games on Sunday. How many games do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got about 14 games this weekend. And, all right, let's just get into it. First game, New York Giants versus the Green Bay Packers. This is our London game for the week. I don't know about you guys. I have never got up for a London. Actually, I did. I got up for one London game, and it had nothing to do with me wanting to watch football. It just happened to be on while I was up doing some other stuff. And that was the Jaguars versus the Dolphins last year, which was a good game. But, man, I mean, I'm glad the Pittsburgh Steelers never play in London because that would be a tough wake-up at 6:30 a.m. Nonetheless, New York Giants versus the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, they're 8-point favorites in this. Giants are 3-1. That's insane. Little quick side note, the NFC East has the most wins, has the best record total combined out of all of the out of all divisions in the NFL. Fun fact. New York Giants 3-1, Green Bay Packers 3-1. It's in Lambeau. Or actually it's not in Lambeau. It's in London. Give me the Packers. I think this is going to be a no-brainer. Actually, I don't think they're going to cover the spread. I think it will be a little bit of a closer game than people may think. I think the Giants have a steady run game. I think they have a decent enough defense to keep them in it for a little bit, but I think ultimately Aaron Rodgers just takes care of this game. Anytime you got A-Rod on the field, it's hard to vote against him. It's going to be interesting, though. They're sending A-Rod out to London. I don't think the Packers have ever went out to London and played a game. Maybe even the New York Giants. Excuse me. But, so Green Bay, I'm going to take them, and the over-under's 41. Give me the over. I think the NFL wants these games to be shootouts. They want them to be exciting for these London fans so they get more and more fanship, more and more views overseas. And I think there's going to be a couple penalties that may, influence the score total. Let me grab my pen real quick. So we're going to go Green Bay. And then we're going to take the over 41 points. So if you're a betting man, that's what you should bet. Next game, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. Now, I don't want to be that guy, that fan that just constantly cannot accept that his team is not good or his team has no chance to maybe win the Super Bowl or make the playoffs. I don't want to be that guy, but I will be that guy. And I am that guy. And I'm that fan. And I have to accept that I am that fan. I'm an optimistic person when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last week, recap, New York Jets, we're up 20-10. I think roughly 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Kenny Pickett comes in at the second half. It was like the stars aligned. I had no kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm drawing blanks. I'm sorry, guys. It's that Colorado atmosphere. It's a little bit higher in elevation. The oxygen doesn't run to the brain as fast. I didn't think that Kenny Pickett was even going to come in the game at all. I didn't think Mitch Trubisky, did enough to get benched. I think he should have been benched, but I don't think Mike Tomlin had enough, reason to bench him in terms of his perspective. But he did. Kenny Pickett came in, started the second half, and he rolled. He looked just as good as he looked in preseason, but in the regular season. Now, obviously, he had 3 picks, but if you watch that game, you realize all 3 of those picks arguably should not have been picks, with the exception of one, which was to Freiermuth on the sideline. Yeah, maybe you should have thrown that ball away, but you could have never told that was going to be a pick. It's a 50-50 ball. Ball's up in the air. It bounces high up. Jets player happened to be around. He got the interception. So be it. And another one was the Hail Mary pass at the end of the game. He had to throw that ball. So be it. And then the first one was to Chase Claypool. Let me start off on a rant. Chase Claypool sucks. 6'4", 220 pounds, going up on a jump ball against a guy who's 5'9", maybe 205, maybe. And he alligator arms it to try and catch it. You could tell how good of a jump ball player you are by how you catch the ball on a jump ball. Did Calvin Johnson sit there and go like this when he was catching jump balls? No. He had his hands extended up in the air because he knew he was taller than everybody there, and he came down with it. I'm not trying to say Chase Claypool is Calvin Johnson or has any chance in the world to be as good as Calvin Johnson, but he is 6'4". He is a lot taller than that defender. Why didn't he use his length? Ball gets tipped up. Jets player happened to be around. Boom. First interception. And that was his first throw. So, not the best start for Kenny Pickett in terms of the stat line. However, it was a very, very positive game going forward. Now that brings me back to the game this weekend. Kenny Pickett versus the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, best secondary in the league. We know that. Although they're missing their two safeties, they do have the best secondary in the league. And call me biased, but this is the perfect game for the Steelers to win. This is the most Steeler-esque win that I could see happening. We get beat by the Jets, we get beat by the Browns, but for some godforsaken reason, we can beat the fucking Bills. So I'm going to go, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Pittsburgh Steelers, beat Buffalo in Buffalo, make a statement to the league. Kenny Pickett, 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground. He throws for about a 275, maybe an interception here or there, but I can see it happening. So I'm gonna take Pittsburgh in this one. And you know what? You can call me biased, call me whatever you want, sue me. I don't care. I'm rolling with my team. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. Over-under's 45.5. Give me the over. It's going to be a shootout. And yeah, next game, Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And wow. Yeah, if you're not a Texan fan or a Jaguar fan, I wouldn't really tune into this one at all. This is a snooze fest. Houston sits at 0-3-1, and Jacksonville sits at 2-2. And I thought Jacksonville was going to get the win over Philly last week. I mean, they got up, I think, 14-0 early. Then they let it slip and fall in Jacksonville faction. I think Trevor Lawrence had 5 turnovers in that game. I mean, sheesh. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, the Texans just look like a complete tank. They're tanking. Let's not, beat around the bush. We know what the Texans are doing. They're tanking. They're going for, a top 3 draft pick. They'll probably get the number 1. And it is what it is. Jacksonville's going to get the win. It'll be a close game. Texans fight hard. Who did the Texans play last week? The Texans almost had a chance last week. That's right, the Chargers. Chargers came up. I think they went 24-3. And then the Texans all of a sudden come back 24-21, making a game. I mean, if there's one thing about this Texans team is they're going to make it a game. However, they're not good enough to win the game. So we're not going to spend too much time on this one. We're going to go Jacksonville. Over-under's 43.5. Give me the under. I mean, this is a real snooze fest. Real snooze fest. We're not going to spend too much time on it. Next game, Tennessee Titans versus the Washington Commanders. And this just reminds me, next Thursday night game is the Chicago Bears versus the Washington Commanders. I mean, how much more Thursday night football does it get? Anyway, Tennessee versus the Washington Commanders. Washington's at home. Don't think that really means much. I'm going to go Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee's a much better coached team. They have more talent on their team. They've been there. They've done that. They've been to the playoffs the last 3 years. I'm gonna go Tennessee. Over-under's 43. Give me the over. Anytime Carson Wentz is in the game, I'm going to take the over. That guy can just put up points like nothing. He can put up turnovers like nothing too, but he can score points. Next game, Atlanta Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the reports have officially came out. Tom Brady's having a divorce. Now, I touched on it earlier in a few podcasts in week 1 and week 2. I didn't want to speculate because there was no official word. Tom Brady, Giselle have hired divorce lawyers. That only means one thing: a divorce is coming. Now that we know that, that is an official thing, thing going on in Tom Brady's life, it doesn't seem like it's affected his play. I know the Chiefs practically blew them out last week, but the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs. And it's not like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rolled over and didn't score any points. They made it a game. I mean, they put up, 31 points last week? I'm pretty sure they put up at least 31 points. Yeah, 41-31. The Buccaneers, Brady was still firing back, still making plays, still trying to get his team back. I speculated that maybe this was the year that his mental was not fully in it. And that's what Tom Brady's best asset is to his game. Being in the game mentally and out thinking the other team. It's not his physical attributes at all. It's his mental side of the game. And it doesn't seem to be in jeopardy, although he's going through a divorce, which is remarkable because some of the strongest people I know going through a divorce is the hardest thing they've ever done in their life. But that's not affecting Tom Brady. And this just adds to the legacy of he's like a droid. He's like a robot. He was made in a lab about football. And he's living up to the hype. So give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to take this one. Atlanta, I was high on them in the early parts of the season because I thought they were going to scare a few teams. Now that teams started to figure out, okay, these guys aren't as bad as we thought, but they're a competitive football team. We're going to take them a little bit more seriously. I can see this one being a blowout. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road. They're 9-point favorites. They're going to cover that. The over-under's 46.5. Give me the over here. I think the over hits in this one. Yep. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking it at home. Nothing to worry about as a Buccaneer fan this week. Next game, Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets. Now, what do we make of the New York Jets win last week against the Steelers? Zach Wilson was put in a tough spot. He lost, I think, all 3 of his starting tackles and was getting pressured. I mean, the Steelers were pressuring him a lot more than what it would show on the stat line. We only got, I think, 2 sacks in the game. But he was getting pressured almost every single play. But he was escaping. Now, is that because the Steelers' defense, they can't fucking tackle? Or is that because Zach Wilson has a knack to escape the pocket, make a good play? And I think the answer to that's a little bit of both. There's a couple plays where, yeah, sure, he made a very athletic move to escape the pocket, but he also the Steelers need to work on their tackling as in terms of when they get to the quarterback. But one thing that you can say is that he had tremendous poise coming back from, you're down 10 points in Pittsburgh. Yeah, like 8 minutes left. You got to lead a drive down the field to even make it a game. And he did it. He did just that. Made a couple throws that were right and on the money, down the middle, taking hits. However, he has questionable decision making. Now, on the other side, you get the Miami Dolphins without Tua. Now, how much is Tua a factor in terms of their success in offense? That'll be displayed, this game. But Teddy Bridgewater's going to do enough to override the Jets, I think. Mike McDaniels, he's a pretty good coach. I'm going to roll with the Dolphins on this one. I can't physically, come up with a reason why the Jets should win this game. I think the Jets are not good at all. And that makes me wonder because I think the Steelers are good, but they just lost to the Jets. So I'm in a little bit of a dilemma as a fan. Nonetheless, you guys don't want to hear the sob story. I'm going Miami on the road. 46 points. We'll take the under. We'll take the under 46 points. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game at all. I think they're going to keep it really low. If the Jets have any chance at all, they'll keep it low because you do not want to get in a shootout with the Miami Dolphins, even without Tua. Next game, Detroit versus the New England Patriots. Now, Detroit, man, it's like it doesn't matter who they're playing, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. Every single game they've played, I feel like, has been within 3 points. Let me see. Okay. Nope, not the Bears. Didn't do that. Back to the ESPN app. Still trash. Still haven't updated anything. Let's see. Lost to the Eagles, 3 points. Beat the Commanders by 9. Lost to the Vikings by 4. Lost to the Seahawks by 3. You give up 48 points to the Seahawks, and you give up 48 points, not to the Seahawks, but to Geno Smith. Geno Smith lit you up. You're in trouble. And I thought this was going to be a team that maybe could sneak into the playoffs. They had this 10% chance of, hey, maybe they could do it. And that's not because they're on Hard Knocks or anything like that. But they just ultimately suck. They play up to their competition and they play down to their competition. I thought they were going to roll into Seattle and just dominate them. No, not the case. They lost to the Seahawks and they let them put up 48 points, which is absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, give me the New England Patriots on the money. They're only 3.5 6-point favorites, which, I mean, the Lions have been killing the spread this year, so I would take the Lions on the spread. I think they're still going to make it a good game, but ultimately they just don't know how to close out games. Over-unders 45.5. Give me the under. This is not going to be a fun one to watch. Yeah, give me the I don't know, because Detroit's offense is really good. Detroit's offense is as good as their defense is bad, if that makes sense. Quote me. Put it on Twitter or something. Okay. New England Patriots will take it under the 45.5. The elevation here, I mean, my skin's all dry. The oxygen levels, like I talked about, it's not connecting to the brain as well. It's a definite change of pace over here in Loveland, Colorado, but a good change of pace to say the least. All right, let's get back on track here. Next game, Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. Where do we start? Chicago, I mean, is Justin Fields good? It doesn't seem like it, right? It doesn't seem like he can throw the ball at all. On the other hand, Minnesota, what do you think about them? I mean, they just lost this, or they almost lost to the Saints in London game. They seem like they're all over the place. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Chicago versus Minnesota. Minnesota's 3-1. Chicago's 2-2. Somehow, some way, I think Chicago's going to pull it out. I just do. I just have that itch in me. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but I just don't. The Minnesota Vikings, this is the perfect game for them to lose. Division opponent. They always play down to their competition. They're very inconsistent. I mean, I can just see it. Chicago Bears, I'm going to take them on the road. They're 7-point, underdogs, 7.5-point underdogs. And I think for some reason this is where Chicago or Justin Fields comes out and has a good game. I don't know why. It's just I can just feel it. The over-under is 44. We'll take the over. I think that'll be an over. It's in a dome. Justin Fields will have a little bit of, a little bit more speed on his legs. So, yeah, we'll go Chicago. I don't want to spend too much time on that game, though. Next game, Los Angeles Chargers versus the Cleveland Browns. Oh, man, Cleveland, what do we think about you, dude? I mean, you let the Atlanta Falcons beat you, yet you beat Pittsburgh by 2 possessions, and I know that touchdown at the end of that game should have never happened and really didn't count for anything, but does this mean Pittsburgh's worse than Atlanta? Because if so, I'm out. I'm out this season. I mean, I can never, ever imagine Pittsburgh being worse than Atlanta with Marcus Mariota leading the helm. And if that's who we are, man, maybe I'm blind, man. Maybe I've been living in the past too much. I'm so used to the success of Pittsburgh. But I just can't think of any reason why we are not as good as Atlanta. And Cleveland just lost to Atlanta. And then the Chargers, on the other hand. I mean, yeah, they're good. We know they're good. But God damn it, they just let the freaking... oh, my God. Who they just play? I just said it. I literally just said it. Okay, go back. Okay, bang, bang. They just let the Texans come back on them. What are you? Chargers, are you guys good? Do you guys play up? Do you guys play down your competition? Because it seems like every game you're in, it's close, even when you start blowing them out. So this is, in all honesty, this is a really tough game, but I have to go Cleveland because the Chargers have not shown any type of consistency at all. And neither have the Browns, but, I mean, the Browns have a running game that I know is consistent. And then Justin Herbert, I mean, this is a tough one, guys. I don't think the Chargers are nearly as good as people think. I mean, they got Khalil Mack and they got Joey Bosa. But what has that done overall in terms of making their defense successful? Because they just let the Texans put up 24 points against them. They just let the Texans, the David Mills led Texans, come and put up 24 points on them. You know what? Yeah, I'm going Cleveland. And I don't even like Cleveland. I absolutely cannot stand Cleveland. but I'm going to have to go with them because I can't trust the Chargers. Total points, 47.5. We'll take the under on that one. We'll take the under. I don't have a problem doing that. I think Cleveland controls the game, but that's what I said last week, and then look at them losing to the goddamn Atlanta Falcons. I hate both of these teams. Next game, Seattle Seahawks versus the New Orleans Saints. Whoa. If I were to tell you week 5 of the NFL season, the Seahawks would be coming in 2-2, and the New Orleans Saints would be coming in 1-3, what would you say? What would you say? Would you be surprised? I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would be surprised. I mean, what? God, a lot of games that are tough to pick this week. Seattle versus the Saints. Saints looked like they had a chance. They did have a chance to beat the Vikings last week. They didn't. The Seahawks put up 48 points somehow. I don't know if that's because the Seahawks offense is that good or the Detroit Lions defense is that bad. I think it's a little bit of both. Actually, I think it's more the Detroit Lions being that bad. Oh, man. You got to think that the Saints get back on track here and the Seahawks, fall a little bit because the Seahawks are not that good. They're not 2-2 good. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints. I think they put it on them. They're 5-point favorites in this game. Over-under is 46. Give me the over. Both these offenses seem to be scoring pretty good, even though the Seahawks suck. But, man, and by the way, Seahawks fans, they just cannot get enough of Russ's struggles with the Denver Broncos right now. They really can't. And honestly, I didn't see it coming. I saw, I wasn't super pressed on Russell Wilson being the savior for the Denver Broncos, but I didn't think he looked this bad. I don't think anybody did. I definitely don't think the Denver Broncos did when they gave him that $200-something million contract with $165 guaranteed. And then he's coming out and saying, man, the beginning of the season when all these, hey, Broncos country, let's ride came out, it is either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. And, man, the memes that are coming out now with Russell Wilson, I wonder if he even goes on Twitter. I wouldn't if I was him. I wouldn't have the capacity to take all this stuff that's coming at me, but maybe he does. And he seems like the type of guy to just let things go. But, man, that is a shit show over here in Denver. Next game, San Francisco 49ers versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Niners looked really good against the Rams. Really, really good against the Rams. But it's a division opponent. And anybody who knows NFC West football, all of them play each other very well. So I'm not surprised that the Niners beat the Rams in that game. I am surprised that the Niners couldn't beat... Oh, who did they play? Who did they play that week? They couldn't... Who did they play? I am surprised the Niners couldn't beat the Broncos that week, and Jimmy G looked absolutely shitty. So I'm not sure what to think. Are the Niners for real? Because personally, when Trey Lance got hurt and Jimmy G stepped up, I think the Niners' Super Bowl chances went from here to here. Jimmy G's a better quarterback than Trey Lance. The Niners are a better team with Jimmy G as the QB than with Trey Lance at the QB position. But then you got games where he comes against the Broncos and he looks like he's never played a fucking football game in his life. So it gets a little difficult when you're trying to predict a game on who's going to win when you got that performance against the Broncos. Then you got the performance that he had against the Rams where he's playing absolutely lights out and there should have been no reason why they drafted Trey Lance in the first place. And on the other side, you got the Carolina Panthers who are absolutely miserable. Okay, so, I'm going to go the Niners. I'm going to go the Niners on this one. I cannot trust the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield, hell of a career to be a walk-on onto Oklahoma. He made something out of nothing. However, he's just not a good NFL quarterback. He's not. He's just not. That's okay, though. He's a good backup, a great backup, like Mitch Trubisky. Best backup in the league, if you give him a chance. If you give him a chance at that backup position. But starting, absolutely not. We're going to take the San Francisco 49ers. The over-under is 39.5. We'll take the over on that one. I don't have a problem doing that. All right. We got 4 more games left. Next one, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Philadelphia is 4-0, but they were down 0-14 to the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Now, I know they ended up coming back. I understand that. But like I said, at one point they were down 0-14. I guess you could lean towards the side, hey, they showed perseverance. All great teams, they need to be able to keep their head in the game when things get rough, and they did. And they came back. But there's a reason why they went down 0-14. So which way do you lean? On the other hand, you got the Arizona Cardinals, who seem to just love to come back in games. I think every game they played this year, they've been down by at least 10 points. And then somehow they come back and make it a game. Oh, this is a tough one. And I'm not a real big believer in this Philadelphia Eagles team. I think Jalen Hurts is going to come back down to reality at some point. I know he's playing out of his mind right now, but that's because he has 2 just dominant athletes on the outside of the numbers, and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. We're going to go Arizona. I think this is the week. All undefeated teams cease to exist in the NFL. It's the year where everyone is just as good as everyone else, depending on what week they're playing. Over-under's 49 points. Give me the under. I think this will be a low-scoring game. I can see it being 10-3 going into half, and then maybe it gets to like 23-21 in the fourth quarter. Give me the under. Arizona's going to take it. Next game, Dallas Cowboys versus the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles looks like absolute shit last week in the Monday Night Football game. Absolute garbage. I mean, maybe this is some bias for me, but Cooper Kupp, they just force him the ball. Doesn't matter who's guarding him. And also, teams don't even double the guy. How much more tape do you need to see of this guy routing every single corner in the league before you need to say, hey, maybe we should roll a safety over the top. We'll let the corner press and play the low coverage. How much more tape do you need to see? Because they don't have OBJ that they can just go to on the other side anymore. They got Tyler Higbee. I mean, Allen Robinson's not good. Well, okay, let me rephrase. Allen Robinson is not the guy who they thought he was when they signed him. I mean, and then the Dallas Cowboys, Cooper Rush. I mean, they're just winning games by a thread with that guy. But their defense is just so good. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Los Angeles Rams, and then the Rams go into a frenzy of if they're good or not, and then they'll probably go on a little bit of a run. Give me the Dallas Cowboys plus the 5 points. Over-under's 43. Give me the under. This game is not going to be fun to watch unless you're a Cowboy or Rams fan. I mean, this is a really, really tough year to pick games because there's no clear favorites in any of these games. Next game, Cincinnati versus the Baltimore Ravens. AFC North division game. Always a fun one. Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson, they just gave up, they were up, 20-3, I believe, to the Buffalo Bills, and they blew that. Lamar Jackson is everything that at least I thought he was. He's not the best thrower in the world, and he never will be. If you can contain his legs for a majority of the game, you'll win the game. Even if you lose a whole half to him, you can win a half and win the whole game because Lamar Jackson's just not the best thrower. But the Cincinnati Bengals also look like trash at sometimes. Their offensive line is atrocious. But the Baltimore Ravens defense didn't look very good throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. Tough game. Give me Cincinnati's the underdog. Ravens the 3-point favorite. I think Joe Burrow comes in, blows up this Baltimore Ravens team, and really just makes the Baltimore Ravens fans think, damn, did we make a mistake with this Lamar guy? Or did we make a good play by not giving him $200 million guaranteed and, letting him take the franchise tag? We'll take the Cincinnati Bengals. Over-under's 48. We'll do the over. I think this will be a high-scoring game. Sunday Night Football. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun one to watch. Last game of the week, Monday night, Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Where do we start? Las Vegas, they got their first win last week. Not in spectacular fashion, but in, fashion nonetheless. They beat the Denver Broncos. Division game, Vegas Raiders, they know the Kansas City Chiefs very well. I got to go with the Chiefs on this one, guys. I mean, the Chiefs just blew out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, didn't blow them out, but absolutely ransacked them. And, well, then again, they just lost to the Colts, though. So, a little bit of up and down. This is tough, guys. This is really tough. I'm going to go the Vegas Raiders. I think I'm picking a lot of underdogs. I'm going to go the Vegas Raiders. The over-under is 51.5. Give me the under. I don't think it'll be that high scoring. I think it'll be a fun game to watch, though. And that's going to do it for my predictions for this week. Like I said, first episode in Loveland, Colorado. TBLOOM Network is expanding. We love having you watching the podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, give me a comment, give me a shout out. Hey, give me a critique. Tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can get better. I don't mind it at all. You can find me on Twitter at TBLOOMENT. We just changed it. TBLOOMENT on Twitter. On Instagram, it's T_Bloom253. I'll put a little thing right here so it'll show you, make it all easy, give you the visual. And then also on TikTok, you can find me at TBLOOM253. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been a tough stretch for these first 5 weeks as a Steeler fan. However, I love giving you guys my predictions, my thoughts, my opinions. Thanks for tuning in. TBLOOM Nation, I'll see you next week. Go Pittsburgh and have a good time. TBLOOM out.